Welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Cycle. This is episode 12. We are joined by Grinder, LetMeKnowBarry, and Joby. Beardy cannot be here today. He had something about the Blue Oyster Club and some Jello and honey. I don't really know what all that meant, but I don't know. He said peanut butter too, but
we don't question him.
We just let him do his thing.
He is not allergic to peanut butter.
So yeah. Anyways, so we had a big week this week, guys. We had the XRP win the lawsuit, Alex getting arrested, which I know every single one of us did a happy dance about that.
Wonderful week.
Yeah. CPI inflation CPI data came in good. I know there's some hesitation about that going forward, but we'll talk about that in due time, I'm sure. That being said, who would like to open it up with discussions about the XRP lawsuit? We'll choose Joby. I choose you.
Okay, sure.
Pikachu. I choose you.
Sure, sounds good. So, I mean, everyone has been following this case. If you're in crypto, you've been following this case since it started because of what happened in the very early days of this case, which completely tanked, XRP on the charts and caused so many issues for so many people. I know a lot of people that were holding XRP on Coinbase at the time in the United States, and they all had their accounts locked. Essentially, they couldn't do anything with their XRP. At a point, you couldn't even transfer it off exchange to send it somewhere else to sell. And it also, caused a lot of suspicion around other projects. So it's been holding the market back since it started. And now that we finally have some clarity by us, I say us, XRP, but it really is us that have won this case. It's for the entire crypto community. Maybe some of the maxis aren't so happy, but I think we can all say that we're happy about what happened.
Regardless of how you feel about XRP, if you think it's too centralized, if you think it's whatever. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the project personally, but I was 100% rooting for them because it was everyone won out of this, you can, except for maybe argue that Brad and the other gentleman whose name I can't remember, Chris, they had that where, they had the one thing that the SEC, can hang their hat on. Was I think that they said that they did an unregistered security offering to the institutional investor or something like that, which, okay, fine, whatever. You'll pay, a $10 million fine?
Yeah, they'll pay the fine and then probably have to relinquish any profits they made off of those sales. But at the same time, that is so minor in the grand scheme of things that it won't affect XRP as a whole. And it won't affect anyone in the community. The only thing that they can do now is really keep building and look forward. So, happy for all the XRP holders, that's for sure. But thank you to XRP for doing this. Because if it wasn't for a major group like that standing up, this could have went way, way worse.
Yeah. And the fine that they're probably going to have to pay, it's probably akin to JP Morgan paying fines for recently they lost some data or something like that, or the manipulation of gold, or drug. It's probably also akin to drug companies getting sued about some sort of side effect, and they have to pay out to some people who are affected by it. It's a small fraction of their overall revenue, and they can handle it, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a malpractice suit for a doctor or something. He's not going out of business. He's just got to deal with this lawsuit.
Well, and then they also said they were willing to, and you guys can correct me, I may be wrong on this. Ripple came out and said they were willing to spend another $100 million to $200 million to fight this. So if they were going to spend, we'll even say 150, right? Just splitting it down the middle of the two. It's not going to be anything compared to that. So, I mean, it's cheaper. It's a win, right? It's cheaper for them just to pay the fine and relinquish any profits. What's it going to be?
But-
a couple $1 million maybe?
Yeah.
Okay,
Also,
fine.
don't forget there is a lot the SEC has to pay for now too. So it's not.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not,
yeah.
Yeah.
So just in the funds that they have spent defending the other points in the case, that now is in the hands of the SEC to have to take care of those legal fees. So if you think about that, their fine is paid for already. It's done.
Yeah,
They,
really.
they could probably just say, okay, let's call it a deal and just be done with this. And at this point, I'm sure the SEC will appeal. It's going to take some time. I think they will, but who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe they have learned that taxpayers aren't going to put up with this anymore because of how vocal people have become about this. That's the hope, at least. We'll see how it goes.
Right.
I think Barry's narcissistic to let that happen. Honestly, I think he's going to want to try and save face and at least get one more or something.
Probably.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think that they're going to appeal just to kind of cause more FUD for an extended period of time. Not that it would, not that they're going to win the appeal, but that they're just going to do it so it puts that doubt on, it doesn't put any doubt on people like us. It puts doubt on like institutional investors and stuff like that. And so they want to suppress the price for as long as possible, and I see this as a move in which they could continue to do that.
They're going to be sore losers about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know that I hope that other major players in crypto are watching what is happening here, and they take a step back and look and ask themselves, how bad has the SEC damaged my investments? How bad have they slowed this down? And whether they should consider suing the SEC. You look at all of these projects that have been damaged over these years, and there are hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars that have been lost because of the allegations that have been made that have now been deemed to be false.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
personally think that these groups need to all get together and start filing charges, because if they do, that's going to cause the SEC to take a look and say, okay, we have hundreds of cases now to defend on top of the already main lawsuit that we're trying to appeal. Maybe we need to stop. I hope that that's a strategy that some of these groups are looking at moving forward.
Well, didn't someone come out and maybe it was Congress as but I thought there was some institution that came out and sued the SEC, saying that they were overreaching their authority, but I could be wrong about that.
Yes, there was. Hang on, actually. Let me get that.
And I only remember that vaguely in passing because I was just, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. When I saw that they came out, I was watching a live stream. I think it was Cryptos R Us or something. I don't remember who it was, but they came out and they're like, so XRP just won the lawsuit. And I was like, what? No, they didn't. Like, I didn't believe it for a minute until they pulled up whoever it was, pulled it up. And I was like, oh shit, they actually did. Like, I was expecting this to go on for another year. I mean, it's been going on so long, and it's been going on basically since I got into crypto. So to me, it was just like one of those things that's just a constant. Like, I didn't even bother paying attention to it that much because it's just going to keep going on. And then I thought Brad was just, to be completely honest, I thought Brad was just kind of like flexing, saying, yeah, we're going to win. We're going to win. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever, dude. And then sure as shit, they won.
So going back to that, it's the Chamber of Digital Commerce. I'm reading this. It says, today, with help from @Winston Law, we filed an amicus brief and @SEC Gov arguing it should be dismissed as it represents an unprecedented expansion of the SEC's campaign of regulation through enforcement. So it's not just them. I believe, didn't Coinbase actually file a suit against them as well?
Yes, they did.
Because the SEC went after Coinbase, but I think actually Coinbase threw the first stone, to tell you.
Oh yeah, they did. So and they got the Wells notice, and then the someone that was some circuit court judge ordered the SEC and Gary to respond to them for their requests for clarity and regulation, all that stuff.
Right.
They didn't follow through on the timeline. The SEC did not, and then they finally Coinbase said, "Fine, we'll see you in court." And then they had their initial meeting this week at some point, I believe. And I was reading through it, and apparently the judge decimated the SEC and agreed almost entirely with every point that Coinbase had made. And it, from what I read, and I could be wrong about this, we'll see how it plays out, that it was pretty much a done deal that it's going to get dismissed at the next meeting, or the next whatever you want to call it.
It was interesting too, because the one point that Brian Armstrong has been saying since this all started, he actually said that this is a public trading company, and the SEC approved everything that they're doing prior to them going public. Well, the argument the SEC made was that, well, yeah, we may have approved the business, but we don't approve the ethics or whatever they're doing in the business. And that was one of the points that people were afraid the judge wouldn't agree with. However, it looks like the judge actually did agree with what Coinbase was saying. That's huge. Yeah, that's huge. So, it's definitely looking good for crypto.
I would be curious to see if Ark and Kathy Woods and everyone else who had bought Coinbase shares and who had sold them would be able to sue the SEC for losses or damages, because they were forced to get out of Coinbase because they're institutions.
Right.
Kathy actually tweeted out, I believe this morning, about the actual action.
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
okay.
Because she just dumped a bunch of shares as well, like yesterday or last week.
She dumped a bunch right before the law, right before the ruling came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, she still has a portion left, because it does say explicitly she sold a portion of.
Yeah. And
and you know what, that sale might not have been for negative reasons, because that ARK Invest fund, my understanding of it is that all the assets that are in there have to be weighted at certain percentages.
Mm-hmm.
And if it gets too heavy in one area, they have to sell and they have to move it into something else. So since Coinbase has been on a run since the beginning of the year, they probably just had to sell some because it was becoming too high of a percentage in their portfolio.
But what a smart move though, because what'd she go and buy with it?
Who knows?
Yeah, she did. Let me go take a look. I'll come back to it, but she did go out and divest into two other shares of somebody's going on. But
I think she bought more Tesla with that. I think.
Yeah. Well, it looks like 2 days ago, Kathy Woods sold nearly $6 million of Tesla stock. Okay. So this is from Investors Business Daily. Let's see. Stock as EV giant talks on India factory.
Yeah, she buys and sells out of everything.
Yeah, she's always making moves. Honestly, I'm a little torn on the way Kathy Wood does her trading. I'm very grateful to that group, but she, we all make good calls and bad calls. I'm sure that overall she's going to be fine. But
she makes seasoned decisions at a certain point. The whatever she just sold of Coinbase, she made money. Okay, look, I got profit. I'm taking it. See you. And let me take this profitable money. And she's going to turn around and go put it into lesser stocks that are down right now. And in a couple of months, she'll front run that, not at the height, but at a profitable moment for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like Kathy a lot. I think she's a very smart woman. I personally don't buy into her ETFs or anything, because I would rather just buy the pure form of the few things that I would rather just hold from her. But I do think she's incredibly intelligent. I know that
she's good for the space.
She is absolutely great for the space. She's one of the few women who can actually, and I don't mean this to be sound sexist, but crypto is a very male dominated space, and she's one of those few people that can go toe to toe with the big, hedge fund male managers. And put them on their toes, and she knows her shit. I mean, she is fantastic.
She's a good role model. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. So yeah, congratulations to the XRP Army. Thank
Mhm.
you to Ripple for taking the
Right. Yeah, honestly.
taking the fight on this for us over these years, because it has been a big thing.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean it's unfortunate that it has to happen this way, but somebody's got to do it, and I'm glad that it was XRP and not any of the other assets that I have.
Sure.
Right.
But yeah, in full disclosure, I've never owned XRP, and it's always been because why would I? We already have enough going against us in this space. Why am
Sure.
I going to go into a project that's currently facing a legal battle? So.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this opens the door for a lot of other people to potentially explore it. But personally, I don't really like the tokenomics of XRP anyway, so it's probably not going to change for me.
That's how
Yeah,
I've always felt too. But boy, am I grateful to him. So
Yeah.
I may throw $100 at him just to be like, hey, I'm here to support like my small donation towards the XRP Army. Like
that's actually exactly what I did. I
is it
bought
okay?
a very small amount as a thank you to the holders. If they want to sell my holding, go ahead. You deserve it.
If you want to dump on me after everything that y'all have been through, like I'll take the $100 loss.
Right.
Like. But
Community
I think,
pump and dump donation system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, the bull run, that project will, I think that it's going to do very well in the bull run just because they're going to be the ones that came out. They can come out and say like, hey, we fought the SEC, we won, blah, blah, blah. They got a lot of momentum going into the bull run. A lot of newbies are going to be coming in and don't look at tokenomics, don't look at, like how centralized it is and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to dump on the XRP or the Army, it's the project has its purposes. And
yeah, they have a roadmap. They legitimately do, and they're doing big business. I don't think it's a bad one to hold. I have too many other ones that I'm personally involved with to add XRP myself, but I'm not going to bash on anyone for holding it.
No.
XRP could also come in on the backbone of institutions, and with their legacy now of going up against a government and winning a little bit, you know what I mean, or a government agency.
Yeah.
I hate to call them boomers, but the boomers that are currently scared to move their money from some other store of value over to crypto, maybe XRP will come in again, like I said, in the back door with the institutions because they already won, and maybe they'll bring the boomers on because they're the safe, centralized coin or one of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's definitely a selling point in their army or their quiver, I guess they got now.
Yeah, it's always possible, and like we definitely saw in 2021, institutions feeling the FOMO of like, oh, crypto's going to be a thing. We need to get in, and they didn't do their due diligence, in terms of figuring out which projects will last. What do these projects do? It seems like a lot of these institutions, especially like if maybe they were going in with like the grayscale ETFs and whatnot, I don't buy it for 1 minute that they knew like what ADA's doing, what Ethereum's doing. They're just like, okay, these are big names, they've been around for a while, throw some money at it and let's see what sticks. So I think they'll do that with Ripple. And they'll do that with Ripple. They'll say, oh, they won the lawsuit and we don't have to worry about it anymore. They're super big, they've been around all this time. I guess throw some money at it. That's what I think they'll say.
When your CEO is on FTX trading Doge Bear, it might be a warning sign,
Yeah. Well, who was it? God, he's the watch guy. Mr. Wonderful. Someone remind me. God, what the hell is his name?
Kevin O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary. That guy. He said something about or to that effect, essentially, like that him or Raoul Paul, one of them came in. They're like, yeah, just throw money at, like just pick out stuff from the top 50 and just throw money at it. And, like just get a big bag of everything. I was like, that's not what I would do. But I mean, and at one point, I do think XRP is going to do very well.
Well, let's be honest, during a true bull market, that
Everything does well.
You can do that. You know, you actually can. You can just throw money and you will come out with profit. But the problem is you know, it's still a really risky play, especially when you don't know enough about the project where they may completely bail and all of a sudden everything's gone. So you know, no matter what, you have to do your own research and figure out what the right thing to do is.
Well, you know, the best thing about the grayscale funds to me in like 2021, 2022 was you knew where investor attention was.
Right.
Yeah.
That was simple. Right. You know, I'm going to run these coins right now. And when they go up, I'm going to sell them. When they go down, I'm going to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
And when they stop losing investor attention and when ETC, you know, Ethereum Classic no longer has a grayscale attention, you know, get out of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, at one point, wasn't Ripple higher? Wasn't it the number 2 coin, and it was like higher than Ethereum?
Yeah, like a long time ago. Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, I know. I saw on Twitter the XRP Army guys, and they're like, "We're gonna reclaim our number 2 spot," and I'm like, "Okay."
I hope they do.
But the other thing you got to remember is, like, back at that time, it's kind of like the same situation with like Dogecoin. Like Dogecoin is in the top 10 or like the top 20 just because of how many coins they have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the tokenomics can kind of put a project towards the top of the list. I mean, I feel like that's what SHIB did too. You know, they just they created a coin. They made it with a quadrillion tokens, and then even if it was because it was such a small fraction of a penny, it put it in the top of the list. And then people, you know, don't know what they're doing, and they buy into it because they think, oh, it's in the top 20. It must be good. And it's like, no, it's just you made a token with a lot of tokens, and the market
Pepe
cap puts it there. You know, so
look at Pepe.
Believe it or not,
I don't think Ripple will get. No, it's okay. I don't think Ripple will get there again because Ethereum has come such a long way, and you know. So anyway,
trying to play catch up will be pretty much. Well, I shouldn't say impossible. Anything's possible, right?
Oh
but
yeah,
it was September 2018 that XRP overtook Ethereum as the second place spot. So it really wasn't even that long ago, but. Yeah, they did it apparently 3 times in that month where they overtook them, but then shortly after went back into the 3rd place position.
Yeah.
Ethereum
right now they're number 4, but if you don't count Tether, they're number 3. But they're at a total of 39.5 billion, and Ethereum's at 229.7 billion.
That's a really, really big lead.
Yeah. That's going to take a while to catch up.
Well, and so much has been built on Ethereum since, you know, the lawsuit, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Ethereum, you know, they staking came out, you know, they finally got the Shanghai update. And they're working on the Miami update, I think is what the next one is, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not sure on that.
I don't remember the name, but it's for the proto-dank sharding.
Yeah, so the sharding, they're working on that update. I think it's Miami. And I think that they said that was supposed to come out by the end of the year or some point next year, right? Is what they were shooting for?
It's soon.
Yeah.
I know it's soon. And they've been pretty.
Well, remember how long we waited for the merge?
Yeah, no doubt.
It was, but I will say, it seems like since then they have been very good about keeping their time now. So ever since EIP, what was it? Was 1760? What was that? The big one where it was. Oh my goodness, this is terrible. I just lost my complete train of thought on which one that was. EIP.
EIP 20?
No. Oh, I lost it.
No worries.
Yeah, but since that EIP, I've noticed that they have really been better about keeping things on track. So hopefully the actual dates do coincide with what they're saying, because it does seem like they have made the declaration that they have completed the updates already. They're ready to be put on. They're just waiting to perfect it, essentially. So I think that's promising info.
Yeah. All right, guys. Why don't we move on to the next topic, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. So the
1559.
There we go.
So the next one we're going to talk about, and I think and the entire crypto universe was really excited about this, but Alex Mashinsky finally getting charged on the 1-year anniversary of the Celsius filing for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I will go with LetMeKnowBarry. We'll go with you, buddy. I choose you.
Yeah,
Start us
I
off on this.
don't really know too much about the Mashinsky case, except that he's a real Mashinsky about it. I know Tina Fong was probably elated to hear that he finally got arrested and served justice. She did a very good job at sidling up next to him at a couple of live events and being very polite and smiling at him. You know, so
Yeah,
good for
made him
her doing that
uncomfortable.
for every little man out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Forgetting what we should now coin Mashinsky'd. You
Mhm.
know, but yeah, it's though funny though. Why him? Why'd we pick him up? Where's the other guy with the furry hair? Come on, FTX Sam. Why didn't we get him? You know what I mean?
Right.
He's got too many good connections.
Yeah. But yeah, I really don't know too much about it except that he screwed a bunch of people. I think Beardy actually got hurt out of it. No.
His father-in-law.
Father-in-law got
Yeah.
hit pretty hard.
Yeah. His father-in-law probably took Beardy's advice. Jesus. But yeah. Mashinsky getting arrested.
Yeah, and Simon Dixon is a great resource to find out information about it, and I'm sure he's elated as well, as we've seen in the interviews that he's had over the course of the week.
But now let's see what happens. It's like, okay, you get arrested for stealing a bunch of people's money. Hey, give us 40 million. We'll let you go back home for a little while. It's like, all right, well, here's 40 million. It's like, all right, well, whose money was that he just used to get out again?
Right. Yeah.
At a certain point,
that was my cell token sales.
Yeah. Let's see exactly how far the law holds him under, and actually keeps his hand to the fire for him.
I actually do have a lot of hope on that because that new the guy who's prosecuting the case out of the Southern District of New York. I did a little bit of research into him, and apparently he is a pit bull, and he is not happy with Alex. So,
all right,
just based off of if you watch the reading of the charges, you can tell he's pretty passionate about it, and I think that there's going to be enough people who come to speak at his arrest or his trial. They're going to have so many people with declarations and stuff like that talking about how badly they've been hurt by Alex, that there's no way that he's going to get any kind of sweetheart deal. I think Sam is going to be the one who's going to get off scot-free, or at least nearly scot-free, because they've dropped several of the charges because they've recovered $6 billion or something like that.
Yep, they recovered seems like the majority of it actually.
That's 7.2 or something.
The lawyers.
Yeah.
So Sam will get charged with some stuff, but I think Alex is going to be the one that they really hang out to dry. And you guys said earlier, that Sam's got too many friends up in high places with the MIT, and he donated way too much money to politicians to get anything happen to him, because then they'd have to pay that money back from their donations, which I'm very interested to see, because at one point they were talking about doing that. They said it was going to happen. They were going to go back to politicians and say, you need to make the investors whole. But
definitely the public ones. Everything that he did dark, they'll never see it again.
No, but I mean, that's still $40 billion or something that he donated, $20 billion, however much it was, to different political, and I think it was mostly Democrats with a few Republicans, but I don't.
It was a mix of both.
Was it?
It was a mix. It was the majority was Democrat, but he did.
I know there were some Republicans that he did vote, or he did that were pro crypto, that he donated to.
Right.
Yeah. He tried the old JP Morgan thing. I'm going to sell bad guns to both sides of the war here. See what flushes out.
Yeah, I mean, he knows every 4 to 8 years the pendulum's going to swing in the other direction. He had to butter up some people to get them ready, but his lies caught up with him.
Yeah, definitely. I know that there was I think Elon did did something with him where he was talking about going in on one of Elon's projects or something like that.
Twitter.
Elon came out. Was it Twitter? Okay, yeah, and
Mhm.
said like that he knew within the first 5 minutes that he was full of shit and
Yep.
he was broke.
That's why Elon went with CZ. He felt CZ was a lot better fit, and then he said that when he was speaking to Sam Bankman-Fried, his entire attitude and the way that he spoke and everything made him realize that this guy's actually broke. So yeah. Hey, I wish I could sense things like that, but who knows? It's hard to say if that's actually totally true, but maybe.
Yeah. There were some people out there who were saying that Sam was junk from the very beginning, and they've been validated through the entire process. So
Sure.
Yeah, but I think the question on that though is, are the people who were calling him junk because they actually, saw something there, or were they just calling him junk because they were Bitcoin maxis and they'll call anybody junk? Who's
that's
investing in altcoins? That's the distinction. But there was one guy that said that, he was like an investor or something. I can't remember his name. I wish I could, but and he came out with articles like immediately following it saying like, oh yeah, I've known for like 8 or 9 months that this guy had to be shady, and like I was warning people in the background. And it's like, well, yeah, why didn't you say anything in the public?
I think CoffeeZilla was one of the more prominent ones who was calling him out, even on Spaces. He basically got Sam to admit that the FTX token was a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, he got him to admit that it was a flywheel, right?
Okay.
It wasn't totally that the word Ponzi was used, but he got him to essentially admit the way that it was structured, and that there were. It's hard to describe exactly how it worked, but there were certain tokens on the exchange which were only marked as like a digital placeholder, and the actual tokens were never even there until someone was trying to withdraw. Like it's a whole mess. And he ended up saying that publicly. It was him and Rand Nooner from Crypto Banter was on there as well. That actually got him to give that information out.
Okay, right on.
Yeah. The guy's name that I was thinking of, I believe it was, I found an article on it. I think his name was Alex Pack. He was he's the managing partner of a New York-based venture capital firm, Hack VC. He met with Sam Bankman-Fried in 2018, and at the time, the entrepreneur hadn't founded FTX and was seeking funding for another company he had started, Alameda Research. So yeah, I mean, there were some people who said that they saw red flags with this guy a really long time ago, but and now of course when something goes mainstream like that, you're gonna want to come out and get some clout around it and like, oh yeah, I told you so type of thing. But who knows?
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Mashinsky before we move on?
Just happy he's in jail.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully he goes to jail and doesn't end up living in or staying in a house arrest on his comfy $40 million mansion that
I don't know. His charges are it's pretty bad. And he was so openly, publicly deceitful. There's so many videos of the things that he said,
right,
and how he was guaranteeing safety, and it's bad. I don't see how you can get out of this.
Yeah, he went on that last couple of weeks, last month probably before it went down. He was on a bunch of shows. I remember seeing him on Rob's show. I remember seeing him on James' show. He was making an appearance on everyone's channels. Saying like, no, it's all FUD. Your funds are secured. Put more money in. And even Simon said that up until a couple of weeks or a couple of days before that, Mashinsky was trying to get him to throw even more money in there, like more of his pension fund, retirees that he manages their money through Bank to the Future. He was trying to get their money, just to keep the thing afloat. And Alex said it's when he started getting a bad feeling, was like, this isn't going to go well. So, moving forward, do you want to talk about some charts grinder and things that have exploded this week with the result of the XRP lawsuit?
Yeah, I think before we go into that, though, we just wanted to mention the CPI.
Oh, yes, my bad. Sorry, I thought we were doing that
no
after.
worries.
So yeah, we're going to talk about the CPI. So, well, you're going to be the one that would talk about that because I think you're the one tracking on that the best. So, you want to go ahead and kick us off with that one, buddy?
Sure, yeah. So like the basic summary was the CPI report came out this week as it does every month, and investors were expecting regular CPI to be at 3.1, and it came in at 3, so it came in under expectations, which is good. And then as far as core CPI, I don't remember what the expectation was, but it came in at 4.8, which was a drop from the last month at like 5.3, I believe. So core the basic thing to kind of like talk about is that core CPI is minus food and energy, and it's been a lot stickier than the regular way that CPI is measured. So while regular CPI, capped out at like 8 something and has come all the way back down now to 3, core CPI has been taking a lot longer to kind of come back down. So I think Joby and I, when we were talking about this prior to the recording, we both kind of agree that it's probably still going to be sticky, and we might actually see it kind of bounce back up a little bit from here in terms of core CPI. Would you agree with that, Joby?
I do. I think it'll be very, very minor in the increase. However, you also have to look at the fact that winter is coming. And we're in the summer month now, and things like energy are typically slightly cheaper in the summer months, right? So when you look at gas and all these things that could be going up once winter is here, it could get a little ugly again. Not anything that I think anyone needs to worry about, but I think that CPI is going to become one of the boring parts of the market. It's already losing its luster, right? Like everyone was so engaged on CPI previously that there were entire communities built around trading on the date of the CPI release. However, now it's just not as intense. So hopefully let's hope that it doesn't go up a lot, but my guess is that it goes up a very small amount, but it is going to give the Fed more ammo to slightly raise rates. And I think we're hopefully nearing the end of that, but time will tell.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Or
I think that Larry Fink came out and did an interview where he said that he thought it was going to be sticky between 3 and 4%. So I think that it came out pretty good, and I think that we may have a few more months of inflation, but I think that at the end of the day, everything is going to come out okay. Hopefully. I mean, there's been a lot of talk that the soft landing may actually happen. I'm not versed well enough to say if that's true or not, but I'm hoping that we do get a soft landing rather than a recession. But I mean, well, technically, I think we're already in a recession, but
yeah, I mean, I think the credit crisis and the commercial real estate issues, I think something's going to pop in Q3, Q4 of this year, and then they're going to be forced to pivot, but they're probably going to keep with the narrative that they're spouting right now, that they're publicly saying, until something breaks, because they know that core CPI is sticky and they want to keep it at these rates, or maybe even give us the 1 or 2 more rate hikes. But once something breaks, they know that they're going to have to, because these are all lagging indicators. So I think that they're going to run it into the ground again, like they typically do.
Yeah. I know. I was brought to a pretty crazy conclusion. Actually, it was yesterday. We went and we were looking at vehicles. So we're both interested in possibly getting new vehicles. Well, when we were looking at them, and I was talking to them about the current rates that they're charging for even your premium credit holders, they were saying that they are looking at around 9 to 10% APR on a loan for a vehicle. Oof. So when you're looking at that with premium, I almost feel like people are still using their things that they would normally take loans for that they've been holding out, and there's going to come a point where people are just not going to be able to afford this, and you look at how everyone's current debt has gone up substantially, we're reaching that breaking point. It's only a matter of time. People are going to go broke here very soon, and I think that's when you're going to see this big effect that happens across the country, just like Brian was saying.
Yeah. And even in my day job, when, I have like about 40 something clients that I see on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And a lot of these individuals are, they're all from different walks of life and socioeconomic status, but it doesn't really matter what bracket they're in. Everybody is complaining right now about financial stress and burdens and whatnot. But obviously it's hurting the people in the lowest brackets the most. So yeah, I mean, credit card debts are through the roof, and that's what everybody's worried about. And there's people taking second jobs that have never had to have second jobs before. So, that's what I think is the biggest like misleading thing about like the unemployment rate right now is like, yeah, maybe the unemployment rate is low because a lot of people are taking second jobs or even third jobs, but they're still not making ends meet because they can't afford the inflation that's occurred over the past couple of years.
I'd say the majority are just about tapped out would be my guess. And
I agree with Joe. I agree with Joby's earlier sentiment about CPI is probably going to go back up, give us one more pump. You know what I mean? We're going to see prices go one more time. Compared to like home heating oil, before all this went, I was like $200 a month on like a budget payment to fill my tank of, however many gallons per year. During the peak of all this, that went up probably about 75% to about $350 a month. All right, great. We've fallen a little bit, and they've prorated me back down now to about 280. So now I feel better because they already got me up to the 350. And as we pump one more time, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually get it to 100% from my start and get me up to about $400 a month to then come out of it by, end of 24, 25, mid 25, and then get closer back down to $250 a month again, somewhere around there. So I do agree with the sentiment of we will see a little bit of a hike once more, and this time we'll feel a little bit more pressure than we did, but after that I think we'll be pretty square.
Well, it is a lagging indicator like Grind said, so I think that there is a chance, or maybe there's a chance that their shit did get expensive there a couple months ago, you know what I mean? So maybe that maybe you're right, there is going to be that lagging indicator that makes us bump up because shit was expensive. Like I said, it was pretty expensive a few months ago. I mean, stuff has come down, but it's a lagging indicator. They're looking at old data. They're going to, be like, oh, well, we need to do it again. So you're right.
Well, we'll check back in like October, December, see what my heating oil is per month.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the best indicators, and this is for anyone watching that has helped me a lot in at least following inflation. Follow used car prices. That's been a great one for me. Look at where the used car market is and see how things are in your area. Like you can simply think back to 2019, 2020 on what you may have bought, say a $10,000 car for at the time. And you'll pay $15,000, $20,000 right now for that same car. So if you look over the last couple months, it has come down, but we're still paying a premium on used vehicles. And that kind of tells me where we really are. So that's just something I found helpful that people may want to look at. Old world home economics. You could also just chart the price of milk per gallon. There you go.
Yep. That's another good one.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty then.
Let's dive into some charts.
Yeah, Grinder, I will pass it off to you, good sir, and for you to drop your knowledge bombs on us of your charts. I know that there's been a pretty big run for all of us. I know we were all talking in our group chat. We were all pretty damn excited about the week. So let's go ahead and get some knowledge in from Grinder.
Yeah, for the TA enthusiasts, let's take a look at how this week has been going, especially considering the XRP news and how that affected the market. So the XRP news came out on Thursday, July 13th, if I'm not mistaken. And you'll see that leading into that, the price action of Bitcoin was being pinched in the Bollinger Bands. The Bollinger Bands are those blue lines that are standard deviations around the orange line, which is the 20-day SMA in this particular chart. And when they get tighter, it usually indicates that there's going to be an explosive move in one direction or not. And the last time that the Bollinger Bands have been this tight was actually at the beginning of the year in January, before we started having the run up of all the gains that we've seen for this entire year. So people are feeling pretty optimistic about this. And typically what happens around these types of times is everybody's sitting there, they're recognizing that the action has been stagnant, the Bollinger Bands are tight, and they're waiting for something to happen. And XRP was that positive piece of news that we needed to try to push the bands in one direction. So we did push the bands. We closed outside of the bands, and it looked like we were going to, maybe break out to the upside. But then, unfortunately, the day after, I think a lot of people got exuberant with their longs, and you got to remember, if you put too many longs on that chart, those bearish traders, it's a tempting piece of fruit for them to pick, and so they wrecked the longs. Just as the longs had wrecked the shorts the day before. So we're still sitting in the same range. And this is why we also talk on my channel, like we need to confirm the breakouts. So this was a breakout of the range. However, you need to confirm that breakout. And the next day we didn't confirm it. We came right back down to where we were before. So leverage traders, I'm sure, were not happy. A lot of people lost money on those 2 days. I think On-Chain College put out a tweet for us. I had asked him to, and he actually responded. So I'm very appreciative of that. And it was like, a total of like 80 million, or so, plus or minus a few million, for between those 2 days, between the shorts and the longs. So what I'm looking at here too is, even not even considering the Bollinger Bands, but looking at the other indicators, the midline of my channel, I was looking to see if Bitcoin could break the midline of the channel. And that was a break of that midline. But again, waiting for confirmation didn't happen. So we're back where we were before. We're still holding about or above 30.2K. And that's what we were talking about last week. If you caught our episode last Sunday, we wanted to see, are we going to be able to hold that level? So this is just more consolidation. As we talked last week, the summer months are typically not very good months, very slow months for crypto and other assets as well. I'm not really expecting that much. And I'm, as we talked the last time Joby was on too, we had mentioned that we're pretty sure that in September we're probably going to have some sort of dip, and that might be like the last buying opportunity before the halving. News kind of really picks things up. So that's what I'm watching right now. And you'll see that the point of control on the visible range volume profile also flipped up to this 30.2 range. So a lot of big players are buying money, buying stacks here. And I think as long as we can hold to that level, we can ride this for a little while. If we are going to look to the downside, you're going to want to look at this horizontal resistance, horizontal support, and then probably the 50-day SMA. And the 50-day SMA is coming in at 28.5K, which is also another key level that a lot of people had been stacking over the past couple of months. So we still got plenty of support under us. Don't worry I wouldn't really get worried about anything until we get down to like 26K. So if we're not going below the bull market support band, if we're not going below the 200-week SMA, if we're not breaking out this channel and losing the 200-day SMA, I don't think that there's really anything to worry about. You just got to have patience. So that's what I got for Bitcoin. And last thing I did want to say too about the RSI is the RSI is still above 50, and it broke this long-term RSI resistance trend that I've been tracking since the peak of January 21 in terms of RSI peak was in January 21. So it's above that. It's above the 50 mark. I think that we can bounce from here and have another move for bullish for those of you who have bullish sentiment. So any questions on Bitcoin before we move on?
Nope.
Looks great.
Your possibility to the upside, how far do you see us going before we then slam back down? 33, 35?
If we had a break to the upside, it's hard to say because there's, we don't have any like moving averages above us. The channel is probably the highest that it could go. So if we were to have like some massive volume come in, we're looking at right now, in terms of my predictions, would be about like 35.8K would be like the theoretical max based on this channel. Obviously, I wouldn't expect it to do that in one day. If it did do that in one day, that would be like a 18% move.
Yeah.
I got pressure around 33, and then if not, we can bounce back down off 35-ish.
Yeah. If we scroll back far enough in time.
You have to start from the beginning. My apologies. It's a mathematical equation, and everything in the equation must be equated.
Yeah. I mean, I think, 33 to 34 is probably going to be the next area of resistance. So I wouldn't expect it to hit the top of the channel. I would expect it to catch resistance between 33 and 34 first.
Yeah.
Hey, Grind, I'm guessing there's not a lot of shorts happening out there too, so there's no huge chance of a massive like short squeeze happening right now either. So
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Ethereum. Ethereum is just another, important one for us to watch. I know a lot of people have Ethereum. It's probably, the second safest asset to hold right now outside of Bitcoin in the crypto space. So what happened on the XRP news with Ethereum? We blasted through the 20-day SMA. And we went back up to the 2K psychological level, which was where we had crossed over at the Chapella upgrade as well. And you could see that was just basically a FOMO breakout here that was outside of the channel, outside of that horizontal resistance, but then it came back down. And the second time that it came up and tested it, it was rejected there as well. So people got excited. People thought maybe this was going to be the time. But like we said before on the Bitcoin chart, you need to wait for confirmation. And we didn't get that confirmation. It came back down the next day. But it was nice that it held the 20-day SMA. It's above all moving averages. We just need to see, and it's in the channel. We just need to see how it continues to behave here. But the other thing with Ethereum is like historically the seasonality of Ethereum is typically terrible the second half of the year. If Ethereum goes on a run, it goes on a run in Q1 and Q2. So I'm not really expecting much out of Ethereum, especially also because I believe in Benjamin Cowen's Bitcoin dominance. I do believe that the dominance needs to get to at least 55%, if not 57 if you're looking at a diagonal resistance line, or 60 if you're looking at previous horizontal resistance lines. So until Bitcoin dominance gets between 55 and 60%, I don't think that Ethereum is going to be able to go on a run, and Ethereum is the asset that needs to give some of that dominance back to Bitcoin in order for that to happen. So if Ethereum doesn't capitulate, we're probably not going to see that in the dominance, like I just said. But if we get that capitulation, we'll get that dominance. And that's kind of like my base thesis right now, in agreement with Ben. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Any questions on that or comments?
I'm the worst Ethereum trader ever. I consistently use it as a tax loss harvest.
Okay. Nice.
It is just not. Listen, it's either totally my jump rope because I have just used it as tax loss. You know what I mean? I think last time I sold for like 38.7 something of a loss, so it gets me right in there for my yearly. But yeah, not my jump rope.
Yeah, I didn't. The last sale that I had with Ethereum was all the way back here, and I didn't sell it at a loss, but I did a stop loss sale to pay taxes. So I still made a decent profit off of that at 2,700. But I was like, well, I gotta pull out. So you could see actually at that time, this is for Q1 into Q2 of 22. I had a lot of tax sales that I needed to complete, and Ethereum was one of my largest positions in profit that I needed to take some of those tax sales for. And then ultimately, I did do a stop loss sale. I still own, as you guys see on my charts, I still own a significant amount of Ethereum, but I had to take a lot out there. All right. Moving right along. Let's go into Solana. This was a fun asset to watch this week. So very happy to see, again, we talk a lot about relative strength. I'm very happy to see the relative strength here of this layer one compared to other layer ones, and the relative strength of this asset that was called out by the SEC in those lawsuits in June compared to the other assets that were called out in those lawsuits in June. So let's see what happened here. We on the XRP news, it got above the horizontal resistance line that it had here after closing above all moving averages and the point of control, and coming back down and back testing it earlier in the week. So this looked extremely bullish. I was very happy to see that breakout. And here you actually got a confirmation of that. And not only did you get a confirmation of it, but it was a very strong confirmation, because as you can see, the couple of days following that, it's, yes, there's major wicks to the upside, but respect the Bollinger Bands is a phrase that I often use when situations like this are happening. It makes sense that there was a lot of sell pressure here. It's outside the Bollinger Bands. This was the former range in the summer of 22 before the FTX collapse. So there's a lot of people who are probably selling into this because they want to get their money back. They got scared that FTX collapsed, all these assets went down, they feel like they lost their money. A lot of people are pulling the trigger on this right now because they're like, oh, I'm just happy that I got my money back. But it's outside of the Bollinger Bands. It's riding the top of the Bollinger Bands. It's closing outside the Bollinger Bands multiple days here. You've got significant volume coming back in compared to other assets. So yes, the RSI is running hot, but it is in trend. So I think we're going to see some consolidation probably right underneath this range. We're probably going to have to come back down and test this range for support, the bottom of the range for support, and then come back up. Have some patience, have some time with it. But remember, this asset is doing better than most layer ones or most assets that were labeled in SEC lawsuits. So I'm not nervous in the long run. And I think that this is actually a really clear indication of its strength.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that a lot of people felt very validated by this run. You know, so they may have taken that, may be something that they took profits, because there were so many Solana, bulls that were buying it up during the dip. I mean, hell, it was under $15 for a couple of months. So I know a lot of people were stacking, us included. So.
Yep. Yeah, and if you had bought at that time and you sold today, you're up over 100%. So I'm sure a lot of people are taking profits because they made decent gains in a relatively short amount of time. It's the respectable thing to do.
Yeah, and especially considering we were just talking about the credit crunch and everyone not really having money. So if you're up 100% in an asset, I mean, and you're, looking at a bunch of unpaid bills and stuff, it makes absolute sense to do, so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. 100%.
I know
All
I'm
right.
hoping for a pullback myself because boy, do I want more. So
Yeah.
I love DCAing Solana. I love it.
Yeah, I am a huge fan.
Yeah, so Joby, not financial advice, but I would definitely, keep an eye at this like 22 level, because of just how all these indicators are lining up. You've got the point of control on the volume. You've got the bull market support band is going to start curling back up. Hopefully, if we maintain this, you got the 200-day SMA, the 100-day SMA, the 20-day SMA, the 50-day SMA starting to curl. So if this kind of like plays out a little bit, it, consolidates here, comes back down to test it, like maybe in a couple of weeks, end of July, right in this area, all these indicators will probably be all lined up. So that's a lot of support underneath us to have that be like a spot to dip to and then bounce from.
Absolutely. I got my buy orders ready.
Excellent. All right. Any other questions or concerns about that one?
Nope. I think that Solana is a great project, and I think we all are very excited to see what happens to it in the future.
Yeah. And I'll collect my 7% stake in the meantime.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah,
All right.
I look every couple of weeks and I'll look at what I've got staked and I'm like, oh God, I love Solana.
It's great. Auto compounding does everything for you. Wonderful. Great setup.
All right. Well, moving right along, let's take a look at Matic. Matic has been in a severe downtrend for the last like 3 months or so, and we were just taking those steps down. You can see how it would come down, test support, ride it for a while, and then eventually lose it over and over and over again. But luckily, at the beginning of the week of this week with the XRP news and whatnot, before that came out, we actually broke out of that channel, came up and tested the 50-day SMA. We got through it and held it. Then we lost it slightly, but then XRP came to the rescue. And you could always make an argument that maybe this was a back test of the channel as well. It's hard when indicators are kind of lining up like this. It's like, well, which one is going to be the stronger one? So it doesn't necessarily mean losing the 50-day breakout was a bad thing, because it could have just been back testing the channel, just as like an educational example there. But then we reclaimed it again, and we broke the horizontal support, came up to test the bull market support band. The bull market support band is probably always going to be a place of resistance for altcoins. So I never expect an altcoin to like immediately be able to get through the bull market support band, especially when you're outside of the Bollinger Bands, as this was on an emotional day. So let's hold this range. Let's flip this red line of resistance to a green line of support, then come back up, work on the bull market support band and push through. But definitely breaking out of this downward channel that we've been in for months. That's a huge move for Matic right there. Keep an eye on the RSI though, because it's been in this trend for a while. It likes to test this trend. It can test it for a while, 4 or 5 days. Let's see what it's going to do this week. It might break it this week, but even if it breaks the trend, we could potentially be caught at the 50 mark and continue to push up. So give it some time to consolidate, and we'll see where we go from there. Any questions, comments, or concerns on that one?
Do you think that they're doing, what is it, their new roll up? Aren't they come up with something? Did I read that right? There isn't something happening with Matic here pretty soon? Some kind of new, was it Matic 2.0 or something like that?
Somebody mentioned to me on Twitter that they're thinking about doing another name change, which I kind of just like face palmed upon that news, because it's like, you already had a name change. How many times are you guys going to do that? Are you doing this again because one of your founders is leaving? I don't know. I have to do a little bit more research on that. Overall, I'm not worried about the project, but if you keep changing your name, I think you could confuse a lot of people who could potentially invest. And there's not a lot of people who follow the space like we do on a daily basis. People are going to get confused and distracted. So I don't know. We'll see.
That was the only thing I had.
Yeah, it's
about
all
it.
related to the ZK roll up stuff. More ZK tech. So
Is that what that is?
yeah,
Okay.
but that's been a long term plan for Matic. They've always been planning this. So I see them following through. Matic really is good. They have a good team behind them. So I see them doing pretty big things, and they do need to do something though to compete with Arbitrum and Optimism. So I do think that we're going to see big things out of Matic over the course of the next year.
Yeah, I agree.
None of that.
Yeah, I mean, none of this news like makes me worried about the overall asset. Even the leaving of that one founder, that didn't bother me because there's still plenty of them there. If all of them left at the same time, maybe I would be worried about it. But
right.
Yeah. Okay. Barry, you were going to say something?
I bet we see Polygon shake hands with some AI venture. You know what I mean? In response to going up against Opti and stuff like that. It's
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I mean, they're kind of like the king of marketing. They're shaking hands with a lot of people over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I'm actually a little hand shy from Matic with all their tweets because every single 28 minutes they're shaking hands with somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then last but not least, I figured we'd take a look at ADA as well. Cardano was another asset that was identified in those lawsuits from the SEC. So how did it do with the XRP news? It was riding the bull market, it was riding the 20-day SMA, but still stuck in this range that had been stuck in for a couple of weeks. Very tight range too, I might add. But then on the XRP news, we had that break, and it lined up pretty nicely with a break of this wedge down here for the RSI as well. It was able to get through that resistance. I have the resistance labeled on Cardano's chart at the 50 mark because historically they get rejected there a lot of times. There seems to be a lot of sell pressure when it starts to get up to that level to cross over into that bullish territory. So this wedge was kind of forming itself here from these lows, and the XRP news was exactly what it needed to be able to break that line. And it, pretty much went vertical to the overbought territory, and now it's cooling back down to probably come down and test trend again. But it broke out of this range that it had been in. It crossed the 50-day SMA. It even managed to cross the bull market support band in the 200-day SMA, but it got rejected by the point of control on the volume indicator, and it's coming back down to test some of these moving averages. Again, I would say give it time. You're not seeing as much volume as some of those other charts. So like if we were to switch back to Solana, you can see that the volume is increasing. Go back to ADA, you had a little bit of that FOMO, but overall, it's kind of just stagnant. So these are the types. This is why I love watching volume so much. Is it can really give you an indication of how many people are coming in and how much interest is on a particular asset. So let it come back down, show that it can flip these to support, and then come back up and test the bull market support band again. Hopefully we can get through it, hold it, and then maybe break this volume range on the point of control moving forward in the next couple of weeks. But you need to have a bullish Bitcoin to be able to do this. Otherwise, alts are just going to bleed probably until the halving.
Awesome.
Yeah. Any thoughts, comments, or concerns on that?
Good time to DCA on your alts while they're. Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at September to be maybe a little bit of a better of a time, but
happy birthday to me.
I like to be safe. Actually, one other thing. Why don't we just quickly take a look at Algorand? Algorand is another one of these layer ones that was labeled in the SEC lawsuit, and you'll see that I held Algorand in 2021. I thought it was promising and whatnot, but then I learned a lot more about tokenomics, and I said, this one's probably going to take some hits over the bear market, and I got out. I pretty much just broke even. I got my money back, and I was happy with that, and I'm glad that I did that because riding it down would have been not fun to watch. But you can see it's struggling. It continues to put in, like last week before the XRP news, it was continuing to put in lower lows day after day after day. And the XRP brought it back up to its first moving average, but it couldn't even hold that. So, it's just another good example of relative strength, as I like to talk about. So Solana is doing phenomenal compared to these other assets that have these similarities, whether they're a layer one or they were labeled in the SEC lawsuit.
Yep.
Speaking of the SEC lawsuit, just before, I don't know if we're gonna if we have more time with you guys or not, but I want to share this real quick. Grinder, I'm gonna knock your screen down real quick because it kind of.
Yep, no worries, I'm good.
Hold on, I'm trying to get this to work. Here we go. So Katie Hunn is a former. She worked for the federal government as a Department of Justice prosecutor. That's what she was. Appeal of recent XRP lawsuit court decision seems unlikely. So if you guys want to read that article, I was kind of skimming it through while we were talking, but it's on CoinMarketCap. And she gives kind of her opinions on why that's not going to happen. Consensus: the court drew a reasonable line distinguishing between XRP itself, not an investment contract, and thus not a security, and certain XRP transactions in which institutional investors paid money to Ripple directly, and Ripple made contractual commitments in exchange, creating an investment contract under the Howey. So,
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I just wanted to share that with everyone. It came out about, I think, about 20 minutes or an hour ago now. Yeah, so I didn't want to interrupt you, Grinder, but I just wanted to share that with everyone.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
More to be hopeful for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what we were talking about in regards to this earlier, I think it's really going to depend on, the elites. What are they saying? Are they saying, I don't care about spending the money? It's not my money. It's taxpayers' dollars anyways. Let's pay the money to make there be more FUD in this space, more uncertainty in this space to suppress the price. It's worth this cost, even though we know we're going to lose. We know that it's pretty clear cut. Or are they going to say, all right, it's over. Crypto's here to stay. Let's just cut our losses and move forward from here.
It's tough to say. I just know that our job, we have to just keep educating people. We need to educate all our fellow taxpayers and let them know that this type of stuff is going on, and make them understand the actual insane amount of money that gets thrown into these ridiculous cases and what always ends up being the end result, especially in the crypto world. We're doing it now. We just got to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's a pretty good show, guys.
I agree. Hey, great charts. Great charts, Grind. I love your charts.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Informative for sure.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I just I try not to really give anybody like a specific direction or a target. I just try to let them see what they should be paying, what I believe they should be paying attention to, and you can make your determination from there,
Yeah.
There I am.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
That's me. We'll go through everybody else.
Follow Grind.
Yeah, there I am.
Follow Barry.
Yeah. Feel free to reach out. Tons of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
And then we got Joby.
Yep. Feel free to reach out, anyone that's listening. Trying to that's the goal, is reach out to legislators. We got to make a difference. So if you want to get involved, please let me know.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
last
Joby,
but not-
Joby, I saw you had a post up there. You actually had the start of a letter, and that's real cool. You know, so to add to that, anybody who's listening, he's not kidding.
Thank you.
Yeah, Joby's not kidding. He's got starts of letters which you can just, copy and paste and email your own congressman, statesman, whoever you're looking to get in touch with. Yeah, that was a cool thing I saw.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, hoping people latch on to that and start getting involved. It's the only way we're gonna really make a difference in our world.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we got Joe. And there he is right there. You might be muted, Joe, if you've been talking this whole time.
I definitely was. Yep. I was complimenting Joby, and I was complimenting Barry on his if his investor. He's got the link for the CTKS group, which I know he's very popular and fond of, and so there was a whole bunch of stuff where I was talking that apparently no one heard. Anyways, there's me. Last and not least, so I think on that ending embarrassing note, we'll call it a day. Unless anyone's got anything else to say.
No, I think we're good. Thanks for coming on again, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's always fun coming on.
Yeah, we love having you guys on. So I'm hoping that we can continue this in the bull market, and we'll have another show that people can watch and learn from. They're, like people are trying to tell everyone how to do it right, and we'll have less chaos in this next bull run. But people are going to be people, so we can only help those that we can help. But I do think that we are doing something for the community. So I'm very proud to be up here with you guys. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, cheers, man.
All
right. Y'all have a great one. Go outside, touch some grass, do something with your families. Anyways, have a great one, and we will see you guys next week.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.